about doing this film because it touches on something that everybody's very sensitive about. Anything that's very culturally relevant towards like, you know, Black Americans, you just have to like it. And if you say otherwise, people will get upset about it.
Yeah.
Even if we do it from a film perspective, right? But I get it. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Genius Brain Podcast. We have Ed Park VP here. That is his Instagram handle. Cheers once again. Shooting some podcast episodes back to back. If you guys don't know, we don't shoot these concurrently. We just do it in a row and then we release it when we can. There was a topic that people wanted us to talk about, but it's honestly a case I really don't give a fuck about. It was the Murdaugh murder case.
Right.
Which apparently, this case has been ongoing for a little bit, right? Like 5 weeks or something like that. It might maybe a little more. But motherfuckers already put like Netflix documentaries about it. It's been all over people. I'm like, that's fucking insane to me.
And they just had the trial, right?
Yeah.
But then like they put out the documentary
before the trial ended.
Right.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. But like every murder documentary that I've seen, it's like things that have been like thoroughly investigated and it's happened like 10 years ago or 5 years ago, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
How do you put out a documentary with something that's still going on out right now?
I guess the rules for documentary journalism has changed because of the streaming system. It's like as if, okay, we will just put it out now while it's hot or whatever in the news. Then we'll have a follow-up episode, you know, once the trial happens or some shit like that. Maybe that's the case because with streaming shit, like you could treat it like as if it's television. It's not like it takes super long to produce a film like the way you do a documentary. And maybe it's just changed the way shit is done because of streaming. I just feel that way.
This is the only thing that I wanted to talk about with this subject is that I don't understand. And once again, I'm not minimizing the tragedy that happened only because I'm talking about things in the sense of when we talk about murder court cases or something atrocious that's happened in the news.
Yeah.
It's like stuff that's almost unheard of.
Right.
But it's about a man who he was born into wealth, I believe is what I've read. So he has all this money, but he was like siphoning money out of his corporation. He's a lawyer, I believe, like millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Which I think it's pretty common case that you hear stuff like that. And he murders his wife and his kid. This is horrendous stuff. But it was the thing that everybody was talking about. And once again, I'm not minimizing how tragic this is. I just don't understand why this case became the biggest thing that was like the talk of the town.
Right. It became like, I don't know. How do you put it? Like OJ?
Yeah. Like, I don't know.
I don't know. Who's the other killer?
John Benet Ramsey or...
Yeah, all these things. Like we have this obsession with these certain murders in our country.
Yeah.
That like really fascinates our intrigue, like with like how we want to know more and what happened and all these things. Like, why do we become obsessed with these tragedies?
I don't know, but this is what we were kind of mentioning too, where I don't know if it's like my criticism of, once again, this is a reoccurring topic that I'll always keep saying is kind of what media does now, where I now have to question even people in my peer group as to why they do things, right? Do you do things because it's something that you enjoy doing or because it's the experience? Or right before you do it and you hit that record button, do you say, this is going to be good content? Beep. So I tweeted this recently where I was asking people, like, when did it become socially acceptable for people to always express and show people when they're crying? When?
Yeah, I don't know what to do when I see someone crying on my feed.
Like, what is this? Like, what? And this is why I'm saying, and you know, somebody actually wrote a comment. They go, I do it because I want people to feel like they're not alone. That's bullshit. I call bullshit on that 100%. So when you feel this emotion, right, you're about to cry, you have to stop. You have to do this. Hold on. That's what you have to do.
Yeah.
I call bullshit on that, right? And
I just want everyone out there. You're not alone.
You're not alone. No. Let's be honest. I think, look, whatever your motivation for what you're doing, I get it, right? But the one thing I dislike is the dishonesty. Just say like, it makes me feel good when people give me that thumbs ups and like, because I'm feeling sad. So it does something for me.
Yeah.
I think that's very bad, but at least you're being honest about it. Like, don't do it as if you're virtue signaling to everybody about how amazing you are as a person, because you're doing this because you're the guy or girl that's going to get everybody to understand that they're not alone. No, you're doing it because you want other people to make you feel better and then pat you on the back. It's an inherently selfish thing that you're doing here, right? That's okay. But
just if you're honest about it.
Yeah, just be honest about it. Don't do that type of shit.
Like, I need the likes. All right, I respect that.
Yeah, don't rationalize your weird narcissism. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I wrote this because I saw this video. We're not going to put this person on blast. There's no point in hurting people like that. But this girl, she put up this video, right? And in the caption, and there was a voiceover for this as well, of course, because voiceovers are the hottest thing right now. She goes, I never get to see my grandmother. So now when she makes me food, I understand that I have limited time with her. And she's bawling on camera and is set up in the corner of this camera, right? Now, I'm thinking positive things first. I'm like, okay, she set up that camera and she was just going to show a video of her eating with her grandma. Here's the thing. There was 4 angles. Bitch, there were 4 fucking angles.
Wow.
And I guarantee you, she did not have 4 iPhones.
Yeah, she didn't have 4 spontaneous recording
So
like
as
devices.
So what she did, she had a tripod. She set it up. She was crying. She stopped, set up another angle, continued to cry. She's Bing, okay. And she goes back to her seat, starts eating the food in front of her grandma, stops, sets it up somewhere, goes back. Come on.
Was the background music the theme song from Up?
I was like, at first, I was like, oh, that's kind of, and then I stopped. Wait a second. It's 4 angles.
You know what it is, man? We're in production. The veils are torn. We know what's going on behind the curtain. Like, think about it. When we watch movies, and this is what other people say, and I don't know, quote / complain about me, is that when I'm watching a movie, I'll notice the little edits, the little flaws in it. Like, oh, it's something weird about that angle. Like, oh, did you see that cut? Something like that. And then I realize when I'm watching a movie, I'm seeing it through the process of it being produced. Right? And so the curtains come off and we see how the strings are being pulled. And so now when we see these fucking bunk ass social media posts, we're like, wah, wah, come on. Like,
well, that's why I
see the practicality of how you had to get that done.
Like, I did this video about, on Instagram every now and then, like, I'll just go back to my old rant videos that I used to do on YouTube. I just do it on Instagram now.
Yeah.
Just because it's a lot faster. I don't have to do a lot of high production with it.
Right.
And it was this guy out in the middle of the street. He's this Australian dude in the busy street, right? He's outside. He has a sign that says, I suffer from anxiety and depression and I need somebody to talk to me, which I've suffered from anxiety my whole life. That is my worst fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
To stand in the middle of a street with a sign
and tell people your fears.
Yes.
What is this? Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness?
It's like, hey, idiot. That's not what anxiety is.
Yeah.
That's the exact opposite. If you had anxiety, that's my worst fucking nightmare. Now I know how to control it. But when I was, when I had my social anxiety was out of control, that would be something I would dream about that would make me wake up and sweat.
Right.
And then he flips over this sign, right? Which clearly people can see from the other side where there's money attached to it and it says free money. And you can see in the video people going, oh, this motherfucker got money attached to it.
Who doesn't want
And he turns around and he's chastising people, basically saying that they're evil people because they're walking up to him when he has a sign that says free money. Who the fuck wouldn't come up to you and take the free money, idiot?
Turn it over again and say free Xanax.
Yeah.
Like, oh, there goes your anxiety.
Yeah. Dude. And like,
I don't know, man. What do you want?
The video didn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense at all in any type of fucking level. You know what I'm saying? It's the stupidest social experiment.
It's the new brownie points. But we've seen it all our lives growing up in church, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay.
It's like, oh my God, has social media become church culture?
Oh my God.
Of this front of like how awesome or how, I don't know, healthy or woke and aware you are?
I'll tell you this. The reason why I dislike videos like that is because I'm not sure if you guys feel this way or if you agree. There's so many bad things happening in this world, right?
Mm-hmm.
So much bad shit. What are you doing? What is the message that you're sending out? Humans are all trash. Is this the video that you're putting out right now?
Yeah.
In this world full of disasters, people being murdered, we have gun control issues in this country, all this other stuff of real life issues. And then you're out there with a fucking sign saying, I need
my anxiety.
Yeah.
Fuck Ukraine.
Yeah.
My anxiety.
Like, what was the purpose of that video? The purpose of the video is him saying that human beings are trash. That is not a good video.
It's like, we live in a society, Joker?
Yeah, because there was a girl who wrote in a comment and she goes, the point of the video is like, you're missing the point of the video. I was like, no, you're missing the point of the video.
Yeah.
He did that video to highlight how good of a person he is and how everybody else is trash. That's the point of the video.
Yeah.
Conversely, there's somebody else on Instagram that I fucking love. This guy makes me cry every time I watch his videos. He comes up to a person, he goes, hey, can I have $1?
Right.
And the person
I've seen his stuff.
Gives him $1. And they, they're busy doing their own things. He goes, hey, because you're a good person, you did something nice for me. I want to reward you. And they start telling like, I've had a rough time. That has a great message.
Right.
An amazing, it shows humanity. It shows kindness. It shows love. I think that's what that fucking idiot was trying to do.
Yeah.
But he did it in the worst fucking way.
He's trying to teach a lesson that's not there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That guy's videos I fucking love because it makes me believe that humans are really kind.
Right. And he ends up like giving 1,000 like Canadian dollars or something, right? Like I saw one where he tried to give out frozen mittens or some shit. Yeah. I mean, he has weird premises sometimes, but then he finds like these diamond in the rough people in our society.
There was a video that he put out that made me feel so good because there was a guy, he was walking out and it was a Super Bowl.
Right.
And then, he goes, he was like either trying to get $1 or something else, whatever, whatnot. And then, it was a football. He goes, oh, you want this football, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, oh yeah, go take it. He goes, oh, and he takes him to the Super Bowl.
Right.
Right. And dude, you saw the joy it was like something he's dreamed of his whole fucking life.
That guy is making a difference in somebody's life. That guy, the other dude is pointing like a false mirror, like at other people.
Like, you're setting people up, you jackass.
Yeah.
Like this guy, when I saw dude.
One side would have been like, like support dying children, starving children in Africa. And the other side could have said free money. It's like literally the same thing. It's just two different things. Like, how are you saying, oh, these people like money more because over this issue? But the funny thing is, it wasn't about someone else's problems in the world. It was about his anxiety.
Exactly. Exactly. That's why I roasted this video. And everybody understood too. They got it. Except for a couple of people. They're like, oh, his message was positive. I was like, no, it wasn't.
No.
If it was positive, I would have made fun of this video. I would have made a comedic video about this.
Yeah, I still keep thinking about like maybe he has one of his signs says, I suffer from narcissistic personality disorder.
Perfect.
Right?
Like, give me attention.
Give me attention. Oh my God. You need to go out on the streets and do that shit.
I'm going to do that shit. It's like, I'm a great person. You need to talk to me. Yeah. And then I'll end it with the video saying like, when I had a sign that said people should talk, they never did.
Yeah.
But the other sign said I was giving them free blowjobs and they kept trying to take me to their car. And then you went the most annoying part of that video is he dropped the sign like it was a mic drop.
Society. Hey guys, look at us.
Yeah. For some reason, I had a sign that said free blowjobs and they kept trying to push my head down to the crotch.
Society. We live in a society.
Shout out to the guy showing like human kindness in this world. We need that sometimes, man. It's really, really great. But that guy who went to the Super Bowl, he was talking about, I think the really cool thing was he was talking about his military service too. Like he served for this country. He got shot in the head and he said,
damn.
Yeah, and he was saying like, and you know what? If somebody asked me, I'd do it all over again. I'd fight for my country again. It was fucking beautiful. And then he made his dream come true by taking him to the fucking Super Bowl, dude.
And the other guy wants his dreams to come true. His own dreams.
Yeah. He wants a hug. From strangers because he deals with anxiety. Well, we're going to talk about something that we were supposed to do. We were actually, but the video got fucked up. But we're going to do it again anyways, and we'll do a better job. So in this video, we're going to talk about our top 10 favorite things that we've seen this year in terms of television and film. And then we're going to break down Wakanda Forever.
Yeah. So this is a list of things we saw, not things we didn't see, because there's a lot we missed last year. So I wrote for number 10, Avatar 2. And did you get to see it yet?
Okay, for some reason, I thought you were talking about Avatar, the live action movie.
Oh, no.
And then I'm like, hold on a second.
Ed, what the fuck are you doing to this show?
I was like, you better fucking break this down. I need to do a full breakdown of your analysis of this.
Avatar, The Way of Water.
No, I didn't get to see it.
Okay, well, luckily for you, it just crossed like 2.2 billion. So it's still going to be in theaters. It's still in IMAX in theaters out there. So you won't miss it yet. But you should definitely check it out for its technical achievements.
Everybody who watched it, they said that they were amazed. So this is what the general consensus that I got from the film, right? It's like, number one, watch it in IMAX. Number two is that they didn't particularly care for the movie that much, but they were just so awed at what they were looking at that they didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
So,
like, you've seen us here. We're always about character growth, character development, and all these things, and the plot, the way it's structured and such. And this movie's very simple when it comes to that kind of shit. But it blows my fucking mind because I do post-production, and there are things that I know to my limit what I can and can't do. And when I see Avatar 2, it blows my fucking mind because I know what it takes to process shit. Like even this, okay, so when you're in shallow or you're pretty close to the top of the water, right? But you're underwater and the sunlight hits the water and reflects light on you, right? But it's got these weird patterns from the waves and whatever, right? That's impossible to do digitally, right?
Yeah.
So you have to have a fake matte of that pattern and make it bounce and shit, right? And then lay it on top of your model in water, right? But with this film, they actually literally do like ray tracing is a thing in video games and shit. They straight up get real like light particle effects into people. So that's a huge achievement. And water, like it generating bubbles and shit. That's another thing that blew my mind. All the water is fake. All of the oceans and everything on all that is fake.
You got to understand, for maybe for a younger audience that didn't really watch film in the time that we did, you guys will go back to older film and you'll see people try to digitize things. It's pretty bad. But it was mind-blowing to us at the time because that's just what the technology was at the time.
Yeah,
we have been able to see that progress, right? From the Final Fantasy VII block hands to watching individual digits.
Fingers, yeah.
Right? From watching Toy Story to watching Moana.
Yeah.
Right? And then you see and even then when you're talking about water, there's one of the greatest achievements that they did in Disney was actually from Frozen. Hair.
Yeah.
Individual strands of hair moving.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy.
And then they went crazy with hair in this video. I think I explained last time, like, in the first Avatar film, what they do is use cloth simulators. So it's as if you had a piece of cloth and you cut it up and then they overlaid it with dreads. So that's why everyone had dreads. So it's easier to simulate hair flying in the air or whatever, right? But this time they literally simulated every single strand of hair on all these characters. It's so fucking crazy.
And we've talked about this too, where we say that, a lot of people who are on VFX, they don't ever get talked about and they don't ever get their due respect.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, they get paid a lot. They get paid a lot for a good fucking reason. You have to understand how sometimes boring their job is. Like Mariel was explaining to me, like there are people who are at Disney that if you ask them what they did and you tell them, like specifically when they're doing 3D animated films, it's something so obscure and boring. They go, what did you work on in the last 5 years? It's like, dude, see that clock?
Yeah.
And that scene? I did the hands.
Yeah, right.
For fucking 5 years.
But they didn't do the lighting on it. They didn't do the shadows on it. Someone else has to do it because of how much work has to go in through these environments.
Dude, 100%. And so when I see, when we hear about things and specifically when it comes to Marvel films, and we see how trash a lot of the 3D fucking work is. Like the digital work, it's like they didn't give them enough time. They gave them such a short amount of time to do this work, and it represents them. It's like, no, they could do better. They just need time to do it.
They need the time. So one of the things I was talking about last time was how I saw it with one of my friends, and afterwards I asked her how it was. She said that she liked it, and she was like, I know you don't like it. You don't have to tell me. I'm like, why? She goes, the whole time in the movie you were shaking your head and you were squirming in your seat. I know it's probably corny for you. I was like, no. Like, I have thalassophobia. I have a fear of the ocean and deep waters. I was freaking out throughout the whole movie because it felt so real.
Yeah.
Like, all that underwater shit was like, even it was displayed as magical, but for me, I'm like, this is a horror movie.
I could only imagine, dude, because especially because of the technology and how real it looks, it must have been your worst fucking nightmare.
Yeah, because I saw it in 3D too.
Okay, that's even 10 times worse.
So, another thing, like I said, you got to see it in IMAX. You should see it in 3D too, because it was shot with 3D cameras, actual 2-camera system for 3D.
There's a show on Netflix where I don't know what it's about, but it was really, really popular. I think it's still popular now. Not too many people are talking about it, but I didn't get to watch it far enough to see what the show was about. But it was that they were on like some type of like Titanic ship, but you get to see these people in the boiler room. And when they open up this door, you get to see the ocean, and they're talking, and they're on the ship. And for some reason, I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I'm like, wait, that's not the fucking action. They're not an actual ship. They just have this green screen room that's like a cyclone, like all the way around. And so, but it looks so fucking real.
Have you heard of the Unreal Studio thing? I forget what the exact thing it's called.
Mariel was talking to me about it because that's what she worked on.
Yeah. So The Mandalorian and the new Marvel films are filmed this way, where they use Unreal Engine to generate the backgrounds of these sets. And now that's the thing, a lot of people are losing their jobs for set design.
Yeah.
And even location scouting, because you could just fucking make it up and have this 360 projection room, and it's connected to the camera. So the camera angle, if it changes, the background shifts as well. And
it's fucking crazy.
It's so crazy.
Like, I love practical effects, right? But obviously when we go into the realm of superheroes, there's nothing on earth that's going to look like that. They could try to the best of their ability, right? Because even in those sets, they're still needed, but the background has to be something complete, because they're world building that doesn't exist. Like, this stuff doesn't fucking exist in this world.
Yeah.
Or if you try, like, for example, right? Let's say they wanted to shoot that show that I'm talking about. They would have to risk the lives of these fucking people on this boat in this boiler room and open up. No, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? But they set design the ship. Somebody had to create the ship to make it look real, and they had the background. It was pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah. So Avatar 2 is basically what you're going to see for the next decade as far as like film innovation goes. We're going to see some crazy shit this decade. Right. So moving on, number 9, I wrote The Northman. And you haven't seen it yet, right? I forget where it's streaming, if either HBO or some other streaming service. But The Northman, I said, is apparently the original Hamlet story. The story of a king who loses his throne to his brother, who takes over for him. And now the prince has to come back to his rightful place. Hamlet, The Lion King, Black Panther. But because this is the original Norse story of where it came from, it uses that story plot line. But at the same time, I call it the White Panther.
Okay.
Because it is such a great homage to white culture. Norse mythology.
White people are like, this is what we fucking needed.
Yeah, for real though. I can see why, like, look, I watch a lot of different movie reviewers from different backgrounds. There's a whole lot of them out there on YouTube. And funny enough, those right-wing like movie reviewers love this movie. And I'm like, okay, let me check it out. Now, it's great in its own right. It's shot beautifully, very unique in its style. But I think they were loving it for kind of weird reasons.
Yeah.
But
it's like, that's not what I agree with, but I could see why you like it.
I can see why you like it. But honestly, in and of itself, it is a great film. Yeah. So the other one for me at number 8, I said The Bear. I don't know if it's that place for you,
But
The Bear is the TV show on the Hulu.
We'll do a full review of it. We keep
Yeah.
pushing it back, and I'll rewatch that. I watched it like 5 times, I think, right now.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen it, you guys got to check out The Bear. It's one of the best TV shows of last year. Number 7, I said Nope. And we talked about it a little bit in the past, right? Like we're talking about how it's in like an allegory to our generation of society that just loves trauma porn. And we can't look away and we have to capture it. Let's see. And then 6, I said House of the Dragon because I seriously hated the way Game of Thrones ended. Season 8 was so whack for me.
I just started watching House of the Dragon, and already in the first episode, there was a scene I had to fast forward through, and it was when she was giving birth, and I could not watch it. That part made me queasy.
So visceral, right?
It's just how much she felt betrayed by him because they had to, do a C-section in the most archaic way possible, held her down, and he's just, you could tell he's like apologetic, but their heir has to survive.
Yeah.
And I couldn't watch it. I couldn't watch that part.
It's a very serious thing. You could see what's going on at the same time is that there's a battle at where they're having the duel, right?
Yeah.
And what does the arena look like?
Oh,
like a giant vagina.
Yeah.
And there's blood being spilled. And it was like kind of back and forth between the C-section and this fucking fight.
That shit killed me.
Keep watching because it's a common theme for this that season of House of the Dragon. Let's see. 5, Prey. The latest Predator movie.
Man, we've talked about this where like that was actually one of the films that shocked me how good it was.
Yep.
Because so many reiterations of Predator has been terrible. And so I expected nothing out of it. And so when my brother turned it on, it was during Thanksgiving, I believe. I didn't want to watch it, but my brother already watched it. He wanted me to watch it. And I sat there. I was like, dude, I'm gonna fucking watch this shit. And I was just walking by and I saw a couple of scenes. I was like, this shit look kind of good.
It's fucking dope.
Watched it. Fucking really amazing. And it's a waste that it actually didn't get to go on the big screen.
Yeah.
Because it would have been way better.
When I saw it the first time, I was like, yo, these Vista shots, the way they shot the Great Plains, all that, I wish I was looking at this at a 50-foot screen.
Amazing.
Yeah. It was like so sad to see that it never came out on such a wide release, but it's such a huge property. I absolutely love it. It is my favorite Predator film. I'm sorry. It does overtake the Arnold one for me personally. Yeah. Let's see. We move on. Number 4, I wrote Top Gun Maverick.
Everybody loved it. I didn't get to see it.
You didn't get to see it?
I didn't see it.
Oh, man. Hey, man, if you ever have some free time, try looking it up. Somewhere, you got to see it on a huge screen. You got to see it with like the sound and everything.
I feel like the next best thing, and we were talking about this before we started this podcast, was watching things in not Oculus sense, but there are products now where it's just an OLED that's a sunglass.
Yes.
And then they kind of reverberate the sound through your skull. And I think that's like the closest thing that you'll get to
the
that.
Spatial audio.
Yeah. So it's weird. It's trippy.
So you can watch like IMAX films at home and stuff. Yeah.
When I first used an Oculus, it was for this Jurassic World type of thing. And it creeped me out.
Right.
I legit, because of the way the sound goes through your ocular bones and stuff like that, it sounds too real. And it creeped me out a bit. I'm like, this doesn't look real, but it feels real because of how the sound is reproduced in your head. So I'm thinking like that might be the next best thing.
Dude, you gotta see it in some kind of format where you're immersed in it. Yeah, never watch it on your phone.
Yeah.
I saw it first in IMAX and then I saw it in 4DX. Do you know what 4DX is?
Is that where they spray water and shit on you?
Yeah. And so when there's explosions, there's like bangs, and then when the fucking planes are flying left to right, your seat moves and shit. But then the one weird part was whenever Tom Cruise was on a motorcycle, the fucking seats rumble, right? But instead of the seat rumbling, there are these cylinders, these individual cylinders poking you up your fucking butt.
Anal probing you and shit?
Anal probing you right on your fucking gooch, dude. It was like, brrr. The whole theater went, whoa! And like, got up off from their seats.
Except for one guy in the back going, yeah. They're like, how many times have you been here?
Ducati.
Yeah.
So number 3, Peacemaker. And we did a whole episode on that. And we know that was my favorite TV show.
To fucking John Cena. And shout outs to Awkwafina and Simu Liu booking a movie with that man. You guys.
Action comedy in the future.
And if it's an action comedy with John Cena, you guys are in for a fucking treat. Hopefully it's going to be amazing.
I think it's going to be real good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go.
Just because I'm biased and I just love John Cena. He hasn't missed. So yeah. Let's see. Number 2, The Batman.
Man, we talked about this before. We did like a 3-hour breakdown of this film because of how much we loved it. By the way, that film was fucking like 3 or 4 hours. Watched it twice.
Yeah, I watched it a bunch.
Yeah, it was that good. And then we lost the footage and that wasn't going to come out.
Yeah, and so
we can't do another 4-hour fucking review on that shit.
We broke it down like scene for scene and all that. And I'm sorry you guys can't hear it, but then literally go ahead and search other people's
reviews.
Yeah, just imagine us talking about it. Let's see. And our number 1 movie was Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Of course, right?
And it's killing it in it's award season. Holy shit, they're taking it all. They took the Golden Globes. They're taking SAG. They took the Critics' Choice.
Well deserved.
The next thing now is the Oscars. 11 nominations.
They're going to win something.
Yeah. So like Best Picture, Best Lead Actress, Best Supporting Actress, Best Supporting Actor.
And who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Best Editing, Best Original Screenplay.
Who would have fucking thought that this would have been like the cinema cultural like phenom that it has become, right? And you know, at first the numbers weren't that great on this film, because people didn't believe in it. But guess what? Word of mouth spread.
Word of mouth. Everyone kept saying you gotta fucking see this movie.
Yeah, I remember when we did a review of Everything Everywhere All at Once. There was a couple of comments like, "I don't get what's so amazing about this film." I was like, "That's because you are an idiot."
That's literally my answer too. Like, if you don't get it, I'm fucking sorry.
In fact, you don't even have to like the acting in it or anything.
Yeah.
But visually, it was amazing.
Yeah.
I actually got hooked on the movie from literally the first scene and how it was shot. It was through that peephole. And I was like, this is going to be a good film.
Right.
Like just cinematography alone, I'm like, this is going to be a good film.
Mm-hmm. The tone and the fucking chaos that they represent, all of the absurdity and the LOLs and WTFs and all that shit, and all still culminates all together at the end where it's like, I could be anywhere in the universe, but I want to be here with you. Like, it was such a beautiful film. You got to go out and see it. And because it got, after the 11 Oscar nominations, they re-released it to 1,500 screens.
Yeah.
Dude, so yeah, go back out there and watch it on the big screen.
You know, I actually was taken aback at how good Michelle Yeoh is in just straight dialogue, right? Because I'm so used to seeing her in action films, but when it was just her speaking, right? I'm like, she is one of our best female actresses of all time. Had no fucking clue. Literally had no fucking clue.
Because when you're in action scenes, you only get the corny lines, the one-liners, the let's hurry up and get this fucking plot moving so we can fight again. Yeah, and this one, like, while having amazing fucking fight scenes, made each fight so fucking purposeful and meaningful.
Was Indiana Jones a Spielberg film?
Yes, it was.
This was a Spielberg film.
Yeah.
Okay, right? Because we have Wayman.
Yes.
Right? Alpha Wayman got his first chance to be on the big screen from Steven Spielberg from Indiana Jones. And he got to, we've said this before a million times, but he really got to show what he's, where his acting level is in terms of like how much he's grown with this role. Right. And originally that role was supposed to go to Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
Right. How crazy is that?
Yeah.
And then the Daniel brothers took a chance on him and it was the best move they've ever made.
Yeah.
Because who the fuck else could have filled that role?
Yeah.
I think if Jackie Chan was it would have been a worse movie.
It would have been way worse.
Yeah.
It's like for all the films we've seen, when he tried to go serious in some films, it's like, I don't believe you, bro.
Because what it would have been a Jackie Chan film. You know what I mean? It wouldn't have been the film that it is now. It would have been like, oh, Jackie Chan's new movie.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a Michelle Yeoh's new movie. It wasn't any of that shit. And I think that's why it didn't get the recognition that it deserved in the beginning, because it didn't have any major stars tied to it. It was just the film itself. The biggest star that they had was Michelle Yeoh. And to be honest with you, just be straight up, a lot of people didn't really fuck with Michelle Yeoh like that.
Right.
They started calling her the queen, blah, 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 because of this film. Right. But she was put to the wayside. They just thought, oh, she's the action star lady. She's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Mhm.
But now they're really seeing what she's about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So on top of her acting prowess, she can also do amazing choreography.
So good.
And she can fuck shit up for real. She was up there like she is Jackie Chan's peer.
Yeah.
Like, and since Jackie Chan, we've had other martial arts stars like Jet Li who did it with him at the same time. Donnie Yen who came out of it a bit later. But then as far as like female Asian acting stars coming out of that school of Hong Kong cinema, like Michelle Yeoh is the fucking GOAT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
So that was our top 10 of 2022. Sorry for the procrastination. It's probably March now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So we've been wanting to do a film review of this, and I hadn't seen this movie.
You didn't see it in the theaters.
I didn't see it in theaters. A lot of people. Okay. Here's the thing about this movie, right? When
so now we're talking about Black Panther 2.
Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
Right. I always get a little weird about doing this film because it touches on something that everybody's very sensitive about. Anything that's very culturally relevant towards Black Americans, you just have to like it. And if you say otherwise, people will get upset about it.
Yeah.
Even if we do it from a film perspective, right? But I get it, but I'm just going to do the review from what I thought from as a film.
Yeah.
If I were to give this just straight up, and we're going to break this film down, right? A lot of people came to me and said they loved it. A lot of people felt whatever about it, right? But obviously they're not going to vocally say it out loud.
They're not going to say it was trash.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This film was not trash.
It's not trash. It's not trash.
But I didn't love it.
Same.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like a 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, a 6 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is not terrible, right? It's good enough where I watched it twice and I didn't feel bad about it, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't like some other Marvel films that I've seen where I felt really weird about watching it a few times. This one is, I watched it and I wanted to see what I liked about it and what I didn't like about it, right? And we'll break down the film, but not Michael B. Jordan, I'm sorry. Chadwick Boseman passing away was the biggest reason why this film was not good.
Yeah. And because of that, off the bat, like you feel like this film is fighting with itself for its tone. Because we get the bit of a meta catharsis with how we feel the tragedy of the death of Chadwick Boseman, but they had to convey that with the actors, and they're grieving T'Challa's death. But in reality, you see that they're not acting; they're talking about Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
You know, and so the tone gets very somber and very cathartic, right? Yet it's still a Marvel film.
Yeah.
And so it needs to have its humor, and it still needs to have its action. It still needs to have its big third act, fight battle thing going on. And so it's still formulaic in what it is, but I think at the end of it, for me, I looked at it like Matrix 4. Like, hey man, the first one and Black Panther's legacy in the MCU for what he was in, starting with Civil War, the first Black Panther film, Infinity War, and Endgame, right? And then because of how powerful of a character he was in these films, we expect so much from the second one, but he's gone.
Yeah.
Right. And so how do we deal with that? And in that case, it's easier for me to walk in and be like, okay, what do they got to tell us? Right. Now, while I respect what came before it, it was harder to digest this one for me, as far as how do I say this? The presentation of the film.
One of my biggest criticisms of this, let me tell you, my biggest criticism of this film was they didn't have a strong enough lead.
Yes.
His sister was supposed to be the strongest lead here, right? But I don't know if that's necessarily her fault as an actress, right? I don't think that's what it is. I really do believe it's because Chadwick Boseman died and somebody had to fill his shoes.
Because her character before was the comic relief.
Yes.
Can you imagine if Rocky dies? So Paulie has to be the new Rocky. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to say that.
It's not a one-for-one comparison, but it's just like an example.
It's an example because her character was very important. Shuri's character was important to the films, but because of what the character was and what it had to take up in an instant to us,
it didn't feel organic. It felt very odd. And you know, when I was talking about, first of all, the trailer to Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever was fucking amazing. And I think that kind of actually set me up for a little bit of a failure too, because it hyped me up.
That trailer made me cry.
Yeah, dude.
I cried.
It was crazy, right? And I actually thought the strongest character in that film was two people. It was actually Angela Bassett, but she died, right? And then
spoiler, by the way, this is all spoiler review.
It's been out for a while and it's also on VOD now. So if this is a spoiler review for you, suck my dick. You know, Angela Bassett and the actress who played the bodyguard, I'm forgetting her name. Okoye, right? Yeah. She was so good.
Right, the general.
Yeah, the general. Right. She was just such a strong female character in this. I actually thought that she played a better lead than T'Challa's sister did. You know?
It felt like she was almost made to be the lead because of her character's demeanor.
Yeah.
But at the same time, no, she's very loyal to the crown.
Yeah.
And that's in her character as well.
Yeah.
And so therefore, it was everyone, all eyeballs on Shuri.
Yeah.
And that seemed to be where the story was forced to take its place, right? And it shows in the opening scene. It opens with Shuri praying to Bast, right? She's praying to her God and like, please, if you can help me out or whatever, like I'll never doubt you again.
Yeah.
Right? Boom, gets in the laboratory trying to synthetically generate this flower that Killmonger fucking burned down in the last film. She can't do it. Her mom walks in and says, hey, your brother has passed, right? And for me, I kind of saw that like if a character like T'Challa is dying and those plants were burned down, you know, then there was no cure, then you would expect Shuri with all of her intellect and her genius to find the cure. And then, and she fails. She doesn't do it. And then I started realizing her motive throughout the film. That I missed the first few times I saw it, where she loses her faith. And I failed to see that first couple times, but that's my story in my life recently. And when I saw it from that angle, I started to be able to put myself in Shuri's shoes better this time around.
I feel like for me, when it came to, you know, Chadwick's death in that film and how much it affected Shuri, right? I didn't really feel it because it felt so disjointed. It went from that funeral scene and to her like joking around with Okoye. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like those things are very important. If you wanted to keep the theme of her sister mourning the loss of her brother, it should have been more continuous throughout the film, right? And you kind of felt it towards the end where like, you felt it towards the end when she's reflecting about her brother, which was very emotional. That was actually probably my favorite part of the film.
Yeah.
And then, you know, her talking about how mad she is when Michael B. Jordan popped up, right? In the time when she was getting the Black Panther power.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that at all. I was like, oh, to me, it felt sudden. I'm like, I thought you were just chilling. Like, you know, her character to me didn't show a lot of resentment. You know what I mean? It just showed in little spurts, but it was so disjointed.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know what happened in the writing or
right.
Like thematically.
No, that for sure happened because they for sure had a script before Chadwick Boseman died. They for sure had announced Namor before Chadwick Boseman died. They for sure had this whole storyline and all the pre-cinematics, you know, like set up all those fight scenes. Because you know how like the director actually doesn't direct those action fight scenes?
Yeah.
Those are already done by like action coordinators. But they had to change it because the story had to change so much. But then for the sake of, you know, you can't just change it completely from the ground up because they've already been building these sets, you know.
The action was whack in this film, by the way.
Yeah.
What
We'll
the fuck?
We'll get to that. But, because everything was already rolling, they had to do massive rewrites and still apply it to the main story they were trying to convey.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so definitely you can actually see that happening on the screen.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm saying. The movie had so many different tones because of the weight of Chadwick Boseman, that's T'Challa's death. Like, in this film, it's like the two one and the same.
Yeah.
Because it's so meta about the grief.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, having to be a classic MCU film.
They should have just said fuck it and kept up with that theme of just, I think I would have really enjoyed the film if it was about Shuri's struggle losing her brother, right? And trying to pick up the pieces and fulfill this role that she can't handle.
Right.
How much more emotionally strong would that have been, right? We can keep it within the theme of paying respect to Chadwick Boseman, but it also gives like a good footing and strong foundation for Shuri as a character, right? Where they don't have to do the thing where they're in the dorm and they have the girl who is the fucking worst, with the Mcguffin throughout the whole fucking film.
Ironheart.
Yeah, Ironheart.
Why can't I remember her character's name? Riri Williams.
They
kind of a pointless character.
Character, right? She was there because she found a way to find vibranium, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, they could have just done that with a machine.
Right.
So
it was like the plot goes that Shuri basically loses her faith because she didn't have the power or even the genius or the intellect or the technology. She was powerless to save her brother, right? So she loses her faith. And cutscene is the queen, Ramonda?
Yeah.
Is that her name? Angela Bassett. She goes to the UN Council in Europe, and France and the US is represented there. And in the meantime, it's cutting between this ship, research vessel or something like that. And there are French mercenaries who are, commandeering the ship for whatever they're trying to steal out of the ship. Maybe there's vibranium in there, right? But what comes out is the Dora Milaje. That's what they're called, right? They save the day, they're protecting it, and they use that to show the UN that, hey, you guys are trying to take our resources. You guys are trying to take vibranium from us, right? And you guys keep saying, we can't handle vibranium.
Yeah.
When we've had it for hundreds, if not thousands of years.
Yeah.
Right? Like classical, white people.
Yeah.
White people thing. And as the story goes, then there's another team searching for vibranium, because what that's setting up is that the rest of the world, since Chadwick Boseman's character T'Challa in the first film opened up Wakanda's borders, showed the world how much they're actually worth, showed them how much vibranium they have, the entire world started looking at Wakanda as a target, and now they want vibranium. And so this research team by the US government, military, have this machine to detect vibranium in the ocean floor. And they get fucked up by this mysterious beings. They come out of the water. They're blue. And they fuck their shit up. They kill them all, right? And then this is where it leads to, and it's a scene that I skipped over. Queen Ramonda and Shuri are by the river bed or something, right?
In like Wakanda and
Wakanda.
Namor comes.
Yes. So in that scene, the queen is trying to show Shuri how when T'Challa died, when the King T'Chaka died in Civil War, then T'Challa died. And there were all these responsibilities put on the queen and the weight of the world on her shoulders, and how much she had to like dig through all of that grieving and pain to make sure that this country was done right. But she said she still found the time to be by herself and reach out to T'Challa. And she said, he was there. He did come to me, right? And Shuri says, Mother, that was a construct of your imagination. Your brain is just coping with the trauma of our brother dying, right? And she's like, well, this is what we do. They burn the funeral garbs, and then they can finally let go. And Shuri is resistant to that. And in the middle of that, where Queen Ramonda is trying to say, there's something you should know about your brother, Namor comes out the water. And we see him, and he comes out the water, and this motherfucker has wings on his ankles.
Yeah.
And at this point in the film, it's like, this is where they're asking you, suspend your disbelief.
Mm-hmm.
This is here, and this is how it is.
How the fuck you get there?
Yeah, right? I mean, apparently, so what we're understanding is that they're from South America, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a long fucking way to Africa, right? But okay, comic book movie. He gets there, and he suspects that they are responsible for this vibranium detecting machine, right? And he says, like, this is your fault. You're the one who told the whole world about vibranium, and now they're after me, and they're like coming to my land, right? And he reveals to them, like, hey, we have vibranium too. It's not just in your place. And from there, they have a council in the throne room, and fucking Kamaru Usman is in the movie. He's part of the River Tribe, right?
Ooh, 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 ooh.
And he just stands there like face.
I love that shit.
So they argue, and their plan is to now get the person who invented this machine, find out who made it, and then bring them back to Wakanda for, I don't know what, trial or whatever, some shit, or for their safety. So it goes that Okoye convinces the queen for her to take Shuri with her to Boston. Like, hey, let's get her out of the lab. She's been here for a year. She's been all that stuff. And the queen relents and says, fine, okay. And then they go to Boston, where they encounter Riri Williams. Now, Riri Williams' character at this point, as we were saying, she is the Mcguffin, right? And Mcguffin is like a plot piece, like a infinity stone that drives the plot forward. It's usually just an object. Some films use people as MacGuffins to help drive the plot along. It's what both protagonist and antagonist are after, an object in the film. And we had this, America Chavez. We had this conversation about America Chavez, how when you make a character the MacGuffin, they've got to be a core centerpiece of this film. They've got to really mean something because they can talk.
Yes.
They speak, they have emotions. And a great example of that is The Fifth Element. Right? Multipass.
Yeah.
That girl.
Yeah.
Right? We didn't like America Chavez. It was, as far as character MacGuffin goes, she was kind of pointless. We were saying she could have just been a rock. Riri Williams, it's not that she could have just been the machine itself, right? But her as a character definitely felt like a shoo-in.
Yeah, she just didn't belong.
Yeah.
It just seemed like she was placed there because they're going to make a movie about her.
She's going to, her character is Ironheart.
Yeah.
Right? She's supposed to be the Tony Stark successor. So I believe they're making her own TV show, but they're also making Armor Wars, which is a TV show. It's like with the other War Machine.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's based around the U.S. government using machines to start fighting the wars and such like that. I get it because you want to cross promote and such, but it felt so pointless. Like Black Panther in Civil War made sense because of his character's connection to Baron Zemo and their motivations that they share. They're both out for revenge, right? That's why I keep saying, like, we just didn't think Riri Williams really fit into the narrative.
Like, what a waste. You know what I mean? What a fucking waste. It's just, I mean, maybe a lot of people don't think about it in that type of sense, right? Where they just kind of accept it. But when you watch X amount of films, it's just so highly apparent, it bothers me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It bothers me.
That's what I was saying before. When the veil is torn, when the curtains open and you can see how the strings are pulled, you're like, come on, bro.
Yeah. Then also too, her machine thing, that was like.
Yeah. So they tell her that her life's in danger because she made the vibranium detecting machine. So other governments are seeking her. Not only that, Namor is also wants to kill her, and you're not safe here. You got to come back with us. And so they take her back to Wakanda. When they're trying to, actually, they have a big chase scene. They go to her lab and they see she's a tech genius, of course. All of that's given, like she's out there. That's who she is. And then I don't know, like I wonder, like, if I'm being a hater or not. I just did not enjoy like the scene.
I don't think anybody did.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody enjoyed that scene, dude. There was just like also too, like the action scenes in this were so lackluster, especially for a superhero movie, right?
Yeah.
And so when this film is not really hitting the points of crazy action scenes, like really dope action scenes, and then on top of that, not really delivering on the story plot line, I'm kind of left with like, what's going on here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Give me something to really walk away from here. Shang-Chi's greatest thing was the action. The action was fucking sick.
But what you're saying now, though, a lot of people have said the same thing about the first Black Panther.
Yeah.
Because he was coming off of Civil War. Civil War had some dope
Crazy
choreography.
actions, dude.
Great action scenes.
One of the best
right?
Marvel films of all time.
Yes. And then his next film was Black Panther, and I didn't enjoy any of the fight scenes. The scene where he's being initiated as king, I didn't like the way it was cut. I didn't like the way it was shot. I just didn't enjoy it.
Dude, they had this one scene. Shuri gets kidnapped, or she decides to go with Namor.
Right. So that following scene, they run away from the cops, but they get caught by I don't remember their name. I keep calling them the blue people.
The Warriors.
Talokan?
Yeah.
They're from Talokan. That's their city. Yeah. They intercept them. There's a fight that ensues. The general fights one of their big general dudes, loses the fight. And so then Shuri voluntarily goes with Riri because they're trying to take Riri, and she goes with them.
And did they ever explain why she stabbed the fuck out of those people and they just lived?
Yes.
What was it?
So when they go underwater, they meet Namor, and he tells his whole origin story. And he tells them about how they are Aztec people, right? Aztec, Mayan? Okay.
Yeah.
They were Mayan, and they were struck by the Spanish Inquisitors and
all the conquistadors.
And most of their people in history, it's shown, were literally wiped out because of smallpox. And it opens with the flashback of his mom, and she's clearly have signs of smallpox on her, and their whole village is dying, right? And so she's pregnant with him, and she's dying, and then the shaman suggests they drink from this plant that came from the sky or whatever, just like the vibranium that fell into the ocean, like a piece of it that also fell in Wakanda, helps grow this plant. They do the same thing. They break it down. They drink it. All of them drink it, and they're all cured from smallpox, yet now they can't breathe above water, and they have to go into the ocean, and their skin absorbs oxygen, right? And so they set up a new civilization called Talokan underwater, and this is where Namor was born. When he's born, they really skip through it. It's just a montage where he's born with his wing feet, and then it's a split second, and they move on. That's how he's born. Now, he also explains that he's a mutant, why he has the wings on his feet, why he doesn't age, why he has super strength, why he can fly and also swim at great speeds. And so he's different from the rest of his other people. And now his mother ages and she dies. And so him as like a youth, and her final wish was to be buried on land.
Yeah.
They come in. So when they come to land, they see that their land has turned into an entire plantation. And everyone that they had known before are all slaves now by the Spanish Inquisitors, the conquistadors, all of that. They've just been colonized. And because of that, he just murders everyone as this kid and his people. They all killed all the enslavers and all that. And he buries his mom. And he got that name from one of the Spanish inquisitors, like this
Priest.
who calls him, I can't say it the full term, El Nino Namor or something.
Something, but
My
Namor is
Spanish
how he
is
does
terrible.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, but then that's a good way to really, because they called him Namor, right, in the comics, but they call him Namor as in no love.
Yeah.
Cody no love.
Cody no love Garbrandt.
Yeah, so he's not Namor, no love. So wait, is it no love or without love?
Without love.
Yeah. And what he explains is that all of their people took the herb drink.
Yeah.
In Wakanda, one person, the king, takes the herb. And so, so the entire civilization of people take this herb. So they all have this fucking power, crazy strength. So when that was the explanation of the general stabbing them and killing them, but they just got back up and they healed because they have the strength of the quote unquote Black Panther or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so subsequently they talk like, hey, Namor has explained to Shuri, like, we're just like you. We have this society. We have our people. He showed them their entire, flourishing land of happy people, peaceful people. They play their form of basketball, and then they have their society. They have their markets. They have children and all of that, And it's like, you want them to take this away from us?
Like no. We're on the same team.
Yeah, we're on the same team, right? And they try to come to an understanding. Like, look, he's saying, I have to kill this kid who made this machine, this vibranium detecting machine, because if she has this knowledge and knows how to recreate this, how can I trust it? All the nations are going to come after us, not only us, you too, And we can't let that happen because you know what they'll do.
Yeah.
It's basically saying, you know what these crazy white people will do.
Yeah.
You know what the US government will do because he's lived hundreds of years and he's seen it over and over again. You know what they'll do. They'll come for your shit. Yet, Shuri is still having a resolve saying, we can have peace. Let me take, the scientists back to Wakanda, Then, we can have peace. But there is an interruption, right? The queen comes upon his shores and wants to meet with him and to talk. So when he's distracted to talk with the queen, where they're negotiating, hey, let my daughter go, it comes to basically Namor saying, you can't do shit. And if you try to do shit, I'll kill you.
Yeah.
And it's like very antagonistic, right? It's like, and I'll destroy you. I'll destroy Wakanda, all that shit. You can't do nothing. But what we're seeing is that the queen is distracting Namor so that
Lupita Nyong'o.
Yeah, Lupita Nyong'o can come in and because she was a spy in the past, takes up her spy powers, or not powers, her skills, goes into and rescues Shuri and Riri. Now in the process, she kills the guards. And so when Namor gets back and sees that Shuri and Riri has gone and he's been tricked, he is now out for blood.
Yeah.
And now this war is inevitable. And what happens is the Talokan and Namor, they invade Wakanda and fuck shit up. And in the process, the queen dies.
Yeah.
Right? And she dies saving Riri Williams. And she dies drowning because Namor has these water bombs and shit. And they can't save her, but they do save Riri Williams. And now, because of that, Shuri now is out for revenge.
That was one thing that didn't make sense to me, was her saving Riri Williams.
Yeah.
That one didn't sit well with me. I know it's supposed to show like her love and reverence as a leader, but
why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because her mission now is to be the leader of Wakanda, to make sure that her country survives, right? This girl is the downfall of Wakanda.
She's the reason why you're having this invasion.
Exactly. When I saw it, I was like, I'm good at this. You know what I mean? Like what? Because it also didn't show them have a developing relationship for her to even step in place to do that. So I didn't get that part at all. That was a little weird for me. I'm like, is there something that we're missing in a cutscene?
Yeah, because at that point, why is she so important?
Yeah.
You have the machine. You know how it works. You mean you don't want Namor to kill her for the sake of, I don't know, humanity?
Yeah.
But you are the queen.
Yeah.
I don't know. I maybe we missed it. I don't know, but maybe it's important towards where Michael B. Jordan's appearance comes in later, because he makes an argument for that case.
Mm-hmm.
So because Queen Ramonda dies, like I said, Shuri is out for revenge, and she is motivated to now recreate the herb one more time.
Mm-hmm.
But now she has a gift from Namor. He gave her a bracelet that's made out of the hemp or whatever from the plant. And she uses their version of the plant to synthesize their plant.
Yeah.
And Lupita Nyong'o's character is there, and she knows the whole ceremony of that. And it's one of those things, like the theme of what's happening. Shuri has lost her faith in Bast, right? She doesn't believe that. She is a science person now. That first movie, when they do this ceremony, it was very like religious, sacramental,
very ritualistic,
all of that. It was very holy. It was respectful, all that. It was interesting to see Shuri's version of that because it's in her lab. It's all artificial.
The synthetic herb. Yeah.
It's all synthetic, right? But it works from what it comes out of it, though. She has her vision, right? Usually we saw T'Challa go into the ancestral plane in the first movie, and he sees his father, right? And his father gives him the assurance that he is the rightful king. You know, despite all the weight of this on the shoulders, the imposter syndrome is like, no, this is for you and such. And Shuri's expecting to see her mom, right? She calls out to her mom in the whatever this plane is now, but it's Michael B. Jordan. And she says, how? And he's like, everyone wants to know how, but nobody asks why.
Yeah.
And he says, why are you here? Why did you make the herb? Why did you take the herb? And why are you here with me?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's like, he knows the answer. And she is in denial. Right. And he brings it out of her to just say, you want revenge, just like I did. You were saying earlier, just be honest.
Yeah.
Just say it. Let's say you want likes for crying on your fucking social media app. Just fucking say you took this herb because you want revenge and you want to kill. Right? Boom. But she wakes up and she believes it didn't work. But in her frustration, she punches that mannequin and boom, she does have the powers. Right? Now it's no longer as reverent as it used to be. Right?
Yeah.
And she goes to the M'Baku's tribe, right? I forgot what they're called, in the mountains. And she meets, it's super glorious, like the Black Panther has returned and such, right? But then, like I said, the wind gets pulled out of its sails because she tells M'Baku, like, I want revenge.
Yeah.
I want to kill this motherfucker that killed my mom, right? And he's trying to like reason with her, like, this is not the way. You're going to destroy, like, you might kill him, right? Mm-hmm. But everyone else also has these powers.
Yeah.
We can't win this fight. And she's like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And she orders their army to go out and to battle. And now we are at the famous Marvel third act. Now, this is what I mean, seeing like how we're so dejected because we see behind the curtains.
Yeah.
Every third act, Marvel third act, it's going to be what it is.
Yeah.
But this is why I love Civil War. Because their big CGI set piece was the second act, was the Avengers fighting each other. Right. And all of that was done. And then the third act was way more impactful. so much more meaningful while Iron Man and Captain America fought each other. Even though it wasn't the big CGI show of the airport scene, it was just them two. Not saying there was no CGI, but them two fighting was.
But that's such a good comparison because honestly, like if you look at this film, like the impact that Civil War had, because Captain America represents a very specific ideal, right? And then Iron Man represents another ideal. Both in and of itself comes from the right place.
Right.
And so when you see them battle, you're not actually, I mean, for me anyways, it wasn't watching two people trying to kill each other because they hate each other. They're fighting for what they believe in.
Yes.
And they're fighting for righteousness, right?
Yes.
Which is essentially what they're doing too. Namor is fighting for his people and Shuri is supposed to be fighting for her people as well, right?
Supposed to be.
It fell so short of that, you know? It also fell short of that too because like, okay, my biggest criticism is this, like, so you know these people are tens of thousands of people deep, all Black Panthers, right?
Mm.
You make only 2 suits?
Right, the owl suit. I don't like the suit designs.
What the fuck was that?
Not only their suits, but the purpose of their suits. And I think we were saying, why? Why did Okoye and the other Dora Milaje get these suits? Okay, to stand up against these underwater people because they all got Black Panther power. And I saw it kind of like Dragon Ball Z's level up, right? Everyone's got to level up somehow, right? You saw it even in Thor. By Thor Ragnarok, this guy turns Super Saiyan. He's got the electric powers and all that shit. And so I feel like Marvel might be taking a piece of the idea that these characters have to level up, not just in character, but physically or whatever. And I'm saying that to say maybe that's it. But in reality, what is it? They're trying to sell toys.
Yeah. Oh man, that's such a good point.
You can't just sell one Black Panther toy.
That's right.
You have Black Panther and then you have Namor action toy. But what if you had Okoye action figure with the new, suit and then all of this and the fucking karate chop maybe? Who knows?
Like
right?
I'm just like picturing this film, right? Like everybody knows. Like she clearly as a leader doesn't give a fuck about her own people, right? She goes, it doesn't matter if there are 1,000 Black Panthers, we're gonna go fight them anyways.
Yeah, because I'm gonna kill this motherfucker.
Yeah.
And we're gonna go down.
Right. And then she only gives 2 people the ability to fight back while everybody else is like if I was a part of Wakanda, right? I would have been like, motherfucker, what?
Yeah.
Where is my suit?
Mutiny.
Yeah. So you're going to give them this suit, but you won't give it to me? Like, how am I going to fight them?
Like literally in the invasion scene, M'Baku gets fucked up in slow motion.
He gets socked to hell.
Maybe he needs a suit.
Yeah, imagine. And M'Baku's strong as shit.
Yeah.
Imagine if he had a suit.
Yeah.
He would have been whooping fucking ass.
But like I said, these third acts have been pre-written years in advance. And so this is what's going on. Okay, so they have a giant battleship, I don't know, without guns.
It's just a big ship.
It's a big ship is there an inside? Is there an interior of the ship? Because everyone's outside.
Yeah.
There are no windows. I don't know. Okay, technology. Okay, whatever. So they have their battle. The Talokans, they jump on the ship and they fight. Honestly, I don't like the way it looks.
Didn't look good. Action was very whatever.
Yeah.
And also, too, one of the things that I really dislike, too, is the inconsistency in character power. You just said they're all Black Panthers.
Yeah.
Why are they putting up such a good fight?
Yeah.
Like,
Thank you.
If they're all Black Panthers, right, how they describe it, 7 of them should be able to kill every single one of them. That is the strength of the herb.
I guess you make the argument that that's how fucking badass Wakandans are, that they can go up against these superpowered. I don't know. Shit happens in MCU. People get nerfed. People get way too powerful. Yada, yada, yada. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Shit happens like that. So what we see is that they have made this plan where they're going to kidnap Namor into one of their ships that's gonna fucking basically swipe him up. Through the help with Riri Williams. Okay, so Riri, we saw her in Boston with her exoskeleton Iron Man suit. Oh shit, she got an Iron Man suit. Great line. And then we see the full suit that she gets to build in Wakanda. And she builds it in a montage where she's using a blowtorch to cut vibranium steel, apparently.
Yeah.
Anyway, the suit comes out looking like a fucking Power Ranger.
Yep.
It looks so out of place. Now, she's supposed to be the successor of Iron Man, but she looked like a toy, a literal toy. And now they're probably made that so they can sell the toys. I felt like a toy company designed her suit.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like.
It was such a weird thing because, listen, I understand maybe the argument behind it. Well, she's still super young, so obviously her level of understanding when it comes to this stuff is hyper rudimentary. However, she is now Tony Stark, but with Wakandan technology.
Yes.
And that's what you get?
That's what you get.
Like, you know what I mean? That was very, very weird and out of place. Like, I didn't mention this part, but one of the things I hated too, well, we did kind of mention it, but I didn't give any specific examples, was the humor. There was one part where I literally heard, wah, wah, wah. It was when he went, if you go out into the ocean, your skin will explode, your blah, blah, blah. Or you could just wear a suit. I was like, ugh.
That was a moment.
I'm like, oh, what was that really misplaced joke?
I thought about that a lot, right? About Marvel humor. Because the humor is written in the script, right? And now it's up to the actors to convey that humor. The problem with Thor Love and Thunder for me, what I realized, and I heard this through Andrew Schultz, where I was like, oh shit, that was a good point, was that it's a comedy film, right? Natalie Portman is an Oscar-winning actress, but she's not a comedian. She had to act funny. She had to act funny with these funny lines.
Yeah.
She could not deliver.
She's not a funny person.
She's not a funny person. Black Panther hired a lot of theater-trained actors
to do humor.
This is why it comes out corny. That's why the delivery is...
Delivery is terrible. The humor was really misplaced. And I remember too, even in that scene where they were picking up Riri in in her dorm, and he goes, ooh, I like her. And I was like, ugh, that is so misplaced. All the humor was really misplaced.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes with a lot of serious films, it's very important to have like comedic moments to kind of break up the monotony of just this drab sorrow.
Like if there's no tension in a dramatic film, what do you fill it with? Right?
Yeah.
And if you can do it right, like humor. And that's why we love these Korean films that may be super serious. They could be horror films, but for some reason they're fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Right? To fill up that time, to fill up the mood, like if nothing's happening.
And I think the biggest difference between that is that the character in and of itself doesn't have to be hyper funny. They don't have to be comedic. It's the situation and the writing that makes it hilarious, right?
Because how the character would react to the situation. That is what a sitcom is.
Exactly.
The situation happens. What would Kramer do? What would Seinfeld do?
But in this one, it's like, well, you just gave him a comedic punchline. Why?
They must deliver.
Yeah. It was just really weird for Namor's character to have that weird punchline at that moment. And I was just dumbfounded. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck was that? I was like, Jesus Christ, man. What the fuck was that shit, dude? You know, and this kind of goes back to my criticism of, once again, you know, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman, but really his passing away, the adjustment they had to make for the film in order to fill this mega superstar role, put that on the shoulders of Shuri was really hard, because even in that last fight scene, it was between her and Namor, was so lackluster.
Yeah.
It just wasn't good. I'm like, this is supposed to be the third act this is an amazing part of the film where you get to see shit go down, right? Which is very, very Marvel-esque. We could see this happening, but if you're going to deliver it the way that we expected to, you better fucking deliver it.
Yeah.
And I was so disappointed.
Yeah. I mean, there are 2 points of, well, 3 important points of that final fight. As I said before, they capture Namor into their ship and they have a microwave built in inside.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they fucking heat him up and it's taking the moisture out of him so he can't breathe. He fucks the shit up where he spears the ship so it crash lands. Thankfully or luckily or conveniently, it lands on a beach. And so the fight happens between where she's trying to keep him from getting back into the water. Fight happens. And in the climax, he fucking takes a spear and stabs her right in the gut. And you were saying about that gut punch.
Yeah. I was like, the fuck?
You were saying how it went right through her spine.
Yeah. When I saw that shit, I was like, he severed her spine. Yeah. That's donezo.
That's instant.
That's death.
Paralysis.
She can't use her legs, nothing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden she pulls it out and does a backflip.
Yeah. Twisting backflip.
Completely fine.
Right.
I'm like, this is interesting.
Right. So that happens. I mean, that's one of those things. I hate when I say that about a movie. So that happens. That's where I'm like, fuck, it's losing me. Anyway, so that happens. And she one-ups Namor by blasting the jet engines on him, burns him up.
By grills him.
And now she takes the spear and has it at his neck and she's ready to kill him. And I was trying, the last time we talked about this too, we were like, where did her mom come from? Wait, I thought that happened when you took the herb. But somehow, okay. But what happens as we're watching in the edit, she has the spear to his neck and then she starts getting flashbacks. The way it's explained is that I've heard other critics say that this is her most vulnerable moment. This is the pinnacle of her decision making, and therefore that's why this happened. And I don't buy it.
No, I don't buy that. I don't buy that.
It just happens, right? So she gets flashbacks of Wakanda, her society, her people, the children, the women, the men in the streets, them living in harmony. And then it is juxtaposed with the people of Talokan underwater who also have their men, women, and children who live in a society in peace. And then her mom in the ancestral plane tells her, show him who you are. This is a line from Black Panther 1 when T'Challa is fighting M'Baku for the seat of the throne, right? And it's part of they've been fighting at the waterfall and it looks like T'Challa is going to be bested. And then in slow motion, the queen says, show him who you are. And he gets this second wind and headbutts him and fucking wins the fight. Now this happens in this third act. And this is where we're saying it just happens, right? And for me, because of the placement of this happening, I think it's a Deus Ex Machina. It is a story beat. It is, Deus Ex Machina in films is like, okay, Dodgeball. One of the most famous examples of it is that they beat the Ben Stiller's team, right? But he's like, hey man, I could still fucking buy your fucking gym and close it down and all that shit. So what? I lost this, whatever. But then a treasure chest shows up, right? And it's full of money, $5 million, right? And if you notice on the treasure chest, it says Deus Ex Machina. That is a story, what do you call that? A formula or like a story solution to conclude plot points and plot beats at the third act just to wrap it up, right? Honestly, it's just lazy storytelling.
Yeah.
And in Dodgeball, they did it as with a sense of humor.
Like a joke.
As a joke to say, we need Deus Ex Machina to finish this movie.
Because it's so stupid.
It's so stupid that he gambled money and won $5 million so that they can buy his gym instead. That's why it's called Deus Ex Machina. It comes from, amazingly, old Greek and Roman theater plays, right? When they do mythology plays and such, right? And at the time, when they're wrapping up their story, there was a thing they would call Deus Ex Machina, the god of the machine, where on the stage they would, use ropes and pulleys to bring down this god character onto the stage and save the story and wrap it up and finish it because a god intervenes, right? That's what this felt like. Queen Ramonda, from some reason, comes into from the ancestral plane to Shuri to say, show him who you are. And she gets humanity. Yeah. I don't know. She gets altruism. She no longer wants revenge.
Yeah.
I'm going to call that Deus Ex Machina. I can't say any other way.
Once again, I know a lot of people who really enjoyed this film, and it kind of goes through that idea of why people enjoyed like Shang-Chi a lot, right? There's like emotional notes that hits you from a cultural perspective, right?
Yeah.
But even with that, right? You can't get away with like lazy shit like that. You just can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if anything else,
where did the mercy come from?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, my biggest issue with this film was character consistency. Like, a lot of things just doesn't make sense. And it goes back to what I said with her, Shuri being the main character. It's like you didn't invest enough into her for her to have the motivation to do the things that she does.
To do the right thing at the end.
Yeah.
Why did she do the right thing at the end? Because she did everything for the sake of revenge. But where and why? Okay, so Civil War. Same thing happened to T'Challa. When he saw Baron Zemo sitting there like, yep, I did it. I destroyed the Avengers. I enacted my revenge. I was successful. Don't forget, people forget, Baron Zemo won at the end of of Civil War. He made the Avengers split up. This is what he wanted, internal battle. And T'Challa seeing that from the outside, the third party, he says, vengeance has consumed both of us, and he saves this guy from suicide too. They try to parallel that here because she says the same exact line. Vengeance has consumed us, but it didn't come from the same place.
Yeah.
Which is why we did not enjoy it. Like, I get where it comes from, but why? It's the problem with many sequels is that you must carry the beats of the predecessor.
Yeah.
But why?
And also, I don't agree that her saying vengeance has consumed us. I don't think vengeance consumed Namor at all. His motivation was saving his people.
Yeah, save
right?
his people.
So vengeance consumed you, bitch. Not him.
Yeah.
He sent his message out. He warned you about the consequences of what was going to happen if you chose to prioritize yourself over the safety of both your guys' nations. If you chose to do the selfish act, this is what was going to happen. Vengeance didn't consume him.
What if he's on the ground like, dude, just speak for yourself, bitch.
He goes, vengeance has consumed me. He goes, actually, it's just you.
Just you?
I'm actually trying to do the right thing.
I'm thirsty.
Yeah. Can I get some like water, please? I don't know why he's Mexican now. Hey, please, can I get some water, please? Agua, please, por favor.
She saves his life, and she asks him to yield. If you yield, I will protect your land. I will be an ally. We will make sure your people are protected from the people above because we are above, right? And he yields. And it was a very triumphant moment in any case, even though it's a bit convoluted. They get back to the battlefield or battle waters. And the theme song plays and he calls out the Talokan and they yield. Everybody else yields as well. And Shuri stands triumphant. So, the whole time we didn't talk about the colonizer, Martin Freeman.
Oh, yeah.
That was a whole nother B plot where he was the point of contention where we see him as part of the U.S. government, right? His part in the CIA was colonization, basically, where you bring chaos into a state. What's that called?
A destabilization.
Destabilization, that's his specialty. And so what we see is the U.S. government, because he has connections to Wakanda, to ask him to destabilize Wakanda. And what we're seeing is that the bigger enemy in this film is the U.S. government, right? And so in one of the last scenes, we see one of the Talokan girls ask Namor, why? Why did you bend the knee to this girl? And he talks about how they might be the most powerful on the surface level, right? But they need us too. And so when those white people attack Wakanda, they're going to call us. And now we'll have the upper hand then, right? And just wait till then. As the story progresses, there was a whole thing back at that waterfall, and it was a bit of a comedic beat. Shuri's not there for the coronation. She goes to Haiti, where Lupita Nyong'o's character is, where the whole time apparently, Shuri gets her piece. Finally, she burns her funeral garbs to pray over her brother, move on from her brother's death and such, finally. And then the post-credit scenes, we see Lupita Nyong'o's character. Man, we should know her character's name by now, but she has had a son, Toussaint. And it is revealed that his real name is Prince T'Challa, the son of King T'Challa.
Which is what Angela Bassett was trying to tell her.
Right. I am so fucking sick and tired of characters in the first act who say, I need to tell you something. And then the main character's like, I don't need to hear it, whatever. And then information never gets passed down. Marvel did it again.
Yeah.
Ant-Man. Did you see Ant-Man 2?
No. I didn't watch it because a lot of people said they hated it.
Right. So it's got like a fucking 40-something% on Rotten Tomatoes. I saw it and I didn't think it was that bad, honestly. It was one of those things, the way you felt about Love and Thunder. I felt about Quantumania.
Okay.
I didn't think it was as bad as people said it was. It is dumb. But hey, there were moments where I laughed my ass off.
That's what Love and Thunder was for me. I was just like, this is a dumb, stupid movie.
Yeah. But they do that again, where one person has this information and they could have fucking just heard this information, but they're like, there's no time. We got to do this. So they don't say it. And it's like, who in the real fucking world, in any case or any matter, knows that information is very important when it needs to be done? In a storytelling device, in a plot, when someone was withholding information, there's got to be a good reason, right?
Yeah.
So I'm seeing this, why are you guys withholding this information
Very
from Shuri?
important.
She is suffering.
Yeah.
She is angry. She has so much pain and hurt and all that. For her to know that a part of her brother lives. Change the whole plot of this movie.
Also, too, why didn't they bring that boy over?
Yeah. Yo, I've been to Haiti. It ain't great.
Yeah.
I promise. I bet Wakanda's way better.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, too. It's like, what was the reason for them to hide him in a third world country?
There was something they mentioned expositionally, how T'Challa didn't prepare anyone in Wakanda for their death but he did prepare Lupita and his son for his death. And so he set them up in Haiti. Something about how he didn't want them at the funeral because it would expose, and then it could have been Game of Thronesy or whatever. So they're like, your safest bet right now is Haiti.
To fight for the throne, and obviously he's the heir, so this child would have to fight.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
That was the, I'm gonna say, excuse. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If that has to be an exposition point and a post-credit scene, then it's like I said, this movie needed its rewrites because of Chadwick Boseman's deaths. And this is what we're seeing out of it. These screenwriting no-nos kind of happen because there's no time. Things happen and, changes the way you got to tell the story.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if other people felt this about the film as well, but it seems like they were focusing a lot on these one-liners to hit on like cultural nuance for people to be like, So for example, when they were at the UN and she was saying like, why are you telling us that the vibranium is so, when we've had it for thousands of years, right? And that's actually like, I'm not sure if they did this on purpose, but that's an ode to Minister Farrakhan, where Minister Farrakhan he said this very poignant line, right? He goes, white people are scared to give us power because they're scared that we will do what they did to us.
Yes.
And it was an ode to Minister Farrakhan. In my personal opinion, I think that's what it is. So that's like those moments of, ooh, fucking got him, And then there was that joke where this is the first time I see a colonizer in chains. A lot of like focus on these one-liners, right?
Because it worked in the first movie.
Yeah.
Hollywood loves doing that. That joke killed. Let's say it again in the sequel. Please. That's not how jokes work though.
Yeah. And this is what happened with like Love and Thunder, right? The Ragnarok before that, I didn't like it because of the excessive jokes, but a lot of people enjoyed it. And because of those jokes, right? So they doubled down on it in fucking Love and Thunder to the point where all they cared about was one-liners.
The jokes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because the reason why I was very critical of Ragnarok was because of the incessant jokes that Chris Hemsworth had to continually make, right? It was like there wasn't a moment where I could just sink in and get into the world that they were trying to create in the film because they kept on doing these record scratch moment jokes with the,
right. I feel like they had to make that because of the way the first two movies are.
Yeah.
The first two movies were Shakespearean plays, basically, and theater actors. But Chris Hemsworth is a funny guy.
Yeah.
He's great at improv. And they for Ragnarok, they wanted to, dive deeper into those abilities that he has. And then I felt like, oh, that works for Chris Hemsworth. That must work for everyone in the MCU. And it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
That's why like that movie was just a bunch of one-liners. And, like I said, again, I walked into that film prepared, knowing what it was going to be like. And that's why I just was there to laugh.
Yeah, right.
And then when people were talking about, the story, I was like, yeah, I thought, of course, I agree with you 100%. But I just knew that I was like, you know what? I think we're just going to be here to laugh.
You're like, I'm past the bullshit.
Yeah.
Because I know it's bullshit.
Exactly. Yeah. And they had great funny ass moments, but they definitely wasted a villain because Christian Bale was amazing.
Yeah.
He was so good. I was like,
yeah.
But it was very out of place because he was so theatrically amazing for the rest of the tone of the film. It didn't make sense.
Right. It was just like, you gonna kill any gods?
Yeah. No, for
Waiting
real.
for you to butcher some gods,
they
bro.
just kind of went past it.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, by the way, he killed 30 gods.
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to see it? Okay.
A word of mouth, bro.
Yeah. He goes, by the way, I killed them. Cool.
Yep.
We're not going to see how dope this dude is?
Yeah. Nice reputation. That's the thing. Reputation on screen is hard to translate. You have to build it.
Yeah.
So these were the things like I was seeing, like I said, because I didn't like it the first time I saw it. And then the subsequent times I kept seeing it made me, like I said, do the Matrix 4. I appreciated it more and more because of the bases they had to try to cover.
Yeah.
While at the same time having to deal with this tragedy, with Chadwick Boseman passing away in the middle of before they could film. And so for me, like I said, I love Black Panther 1. I absolutely believe its Best Picture nomination at the Oscar is well deserved. It's one of my favorite films.
Yeah.
Because of its metaphors and allegories to what it's trying to say today. It's one of the films that really helped me because I'm a film buff. We love receiving information through the medium of film, right? And it helps me understand people's feelings, emotions, and experiences. Black Panther 1 for me was one of the first films that was like, put yourself in our shoes, right? And that did it well because it painted a picture of Wakanda as something that's not so far and different from the America we were living in at the time that it came out in 2016.
Yeah.
Wakanda, as it comes in, is this amazing technological advanced land with all the greatest wealth and greatest military power and such. But in order to preserve that, they have to preserve that through walls, building invisible walls, right? And constantly saying Wakanda first. Wakanda is their highest priority first. So they are a conservative nation. There's no apologies about that in the movie, right? And us as an audience, we accept that. This is amazing. This is, the Africa that could have been without slavery and colonization and stealing of resources and land and wealth, all of that. Because diamonds come from Africa, lithium comes from Africa, all of the resources we need, but why don't they have the wealth? That's the idea of Wakanda today. Right?
Make Wakanda great again.
Yes, exactly. And to keep preserving Wakanda's greatness is their MO. Why and how they do it? How do they do it? Through lies and killing. That's how they preserve the lie. The king killed his own brother to preserve the lie. That's how important it is to them. This wealth that's how important it is to them. And that system created and raised an amazing king such as T'Challa and the Black Panther and this amazing nation. But guess what? The same system that builds greatness created the Killmonger. It created the vengeance. It created the anger. It created basically the hurt and pain that the rest of the world actually feels. That's why when Black Panther 1 first came out, what was everyone saying? Yo, Michael B. Jordan has a point.
Yeah.
Which is why he's one of the greatest movie villains to ever come about, because it's like, wait a second, even us as audience, he's right. Every point he's fighting for, so are we fighting. We want that too.
Yeah.
Except this guy is willing to kill, steal, and destroy.
Yeah.
He kills his girl that came along the way. He even says, I killed my own people. I killed my own brothers and sisters. I killed the marks on his body are representative of each person he has killed to make his way to Wakanda.
You know how you have like thalassophobia? I have that shit when I see dots.
That's
that shit.
Tryptophobia.
I had tryptophobia. Yeah. That shit fucking killed me.
Oh, yeah, his
when he took out, I went, that shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, oh.
So precisely like, and this is the two sides of the same coin. T'Challa and Killmonger are the same people. They're the same character, but they were raised in the same system under two different circumstances, And Killmonger, his purpose was right? His reasons were righteous. His methods were wrong. T'Challa and Wakanda, right? The ideas were right? But the methods were also wrong, right? And so Killmonger's biggest MO, his whole purpose is, I'm going to now take your wealth and your weapons, and I'm going to give it to all the black people all across the earth, and we're going to take over this planet, right? What is that? The Black Panther Party of the 1960s and 70s. Is what they wanted so wrong? They wanted rights.
Yeah.
But they weren't given to them. They were tortured, murdered, and killed and thrown into jail and prison and wrongfully accused for all these things. And they were like, you know what then? Then we need guns.
Yeah.
Then we're taking up the Second Amendment. And what happened anyway? Ronald Reagan, governor of California at the time, took away their guns.
Yeah.
The reason why California has strict gun laws is because Ronald Reagan enacted it against black people. That's what happened to the Black Panther Party in reality. And now this is what Eric Killmonger is the representation of, the tale of two Black Panthers, right? And he wants to annex the world. He wants to colonize the world, just like white people did to us. And he learned that through the CIA. That's what he was doing. He learned the ways to destabilize other states too. It's like, now I'm doing that here. And what did T'Challa have to do when he lost that battle and went back to the ancestral plane? He pointed his fingers to his ancestors and told them, you were wrong.
Yeah.
You were wrong. What you did was wrong. You could have saved that boy. We could still have this wealth and save the rest of the world and all the people across the globe. He says, you were wrong. And T'Challa has a change of heart. This is therefore why he starts bringing aid to the world and tells people about who they really are.
And see, those are the moments that I was expecting out of Black Panther 2, because I was
right, and so was I.
Yeah, and there are reasons to be critical of Black Panther 1, like the CGI was fucking Jesus Christ.
And we said many things about the CGI.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
But that scene was so very iconic, especially when he was talking to his father, right? Because he's coming into realization that this world, this hero that he has, who is his father, who was his perfect man, he has to confront him.
Yeah,
and he has to make these things right.
Right.
So like, I remember that scene when he was arguing with his dad and he goes, you were wrong. That moment in that theater, everybody felt that shit, right? If I was waiting for those moments in Wakanda Forever, and everything just felt so lackluster, right? Like I said, like we talked about, the spear to his throat. It's like, do the right thing, right?
just cause.
just because.
Just because.
Like, all right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So like at least T'Challa in that plot point went back to the ancestral plane because they saved that one last flower.
Yeah.
In this point, it was just, it happened. When you've already set it up in the first film, you can't change the rules in the second film.
Exactly.
And then you lose the consistency. Now, I'm going to say the allegories are there in this film. We mentioned it earlier in the last time we tried to record. The Talocan represent the Latino population of this Western hemisphere, right? Talocan represents T'Challa, the old T'Challa.
Yeah.
Right? The man who would do anything to protect his land, his country, his people, right? And so what he's doing isn't necessarily wrong because he keeps pointing the finger back at them, at the people of Wakanda. You do the same thing.
Yeah.
You would do the same thing. Because these white people are after our resources.
Also, too, the thing I didn't really like was, the conclusion was, she said, I'm going to protect your people. You are going to protect them?
But they're going to kill you.
Yeah, they're way better than you.
I think she meant diplomatically with the UN.
Okay. I get, because I was like, I think they could fuck all you up.
Yeah, why are you trying to lie to kick it? Just say what it is. Just be honest. Just say the UN.
Yeah.
Just try to be all hard.
I'll protect you. I was like, do you see what, and the thing too is like, when they flew back, right? And they're standing in front of everybody, all the Wakandans got their ass kicked and they're at the edge. I was like, bro, you could have just went up to her and been Shecky kicked her off that shit thing,
Yeah.
And then you would have been fine. You would have been over. It would have been all good.
But so.
And then his masterful plan is like, listen, now we're going to wait. I'm like, you didn't have to wait. You guys won.
Well, it's hard to put the story together because it feels very convoluted.
Yeah.
And it's It was a story that was very hard to tell because of Chadwick Boseman's death.
Yeah. Rest in peace,
Rest
man.
in peace. But that's the reality of what we got out of it, and this is the product we received.
What was the message is a thing too, especially because the first one has such a strong message.
Right. So the message I thought was Latino and Black alliance. That Talocan and Namor represents the Latino community, because we don't talk a lot about their people's destructions as much as we do about slavery and what happened to Africa and such in the slave trade. When we do know, like, Latino people and their history was decimated. 90% of their population gone due to the disease brought upon by colonizers. They enslaved them as well. Christopher Columbus fucked shit up whenever he landed in the Americas. He enslaved them, cut off their noses, ears, and arms to, get obedience out of them. He raped them, all of that too. But then they don't get that recognition for that suffering. Instead, there's the Christopher Columbus Day.
Yeah.
Right? And so that empathy isn't given to the Latino community, isn't it? And I think this film is through Shuri showing that the Black community giving empathy to the Latino community and saying, we need an alliance because you and I, we're fighting for resources, but guess what? The government, the US government and those white people, they want what we got. I felt like that was kind of like the story being told. Yeah.
It's interesting because there's something that's coming about on Twitter right now, which I don't understand why this is coming back. But, ever since the pandemic, and obviously within the pandemic, there was the BLM thing and everything else. And everything, for some reason, for me, as I take a step back and I look at it, and I was just thinking about this the other day, I feel like we're all just being fucked with to hate each other.
Yeah.
And there's somebody else it's outside of us. That's like, whether it's the government, there's something bigger at play here where they just want everybody to hate each other and they want our country to be destabilized. It feels like that so much, right? Where even to the point where people know this and they still don't care. Like, you do understand this is not conspiracy theory either. Like, it's out there. A lot of the stuff that you see when it comes to hate and propaganda, it's bots. And people know this and they still ignore it and they're arguing with bots.
Yeah.
And it creates this hate within everybody. One of the things and it feels like America is being attacked the most, right? Because we're the ones in power. And so everybody else in the world is just laughing at us. So one of the biggest things that everybody says outside of this country is like, I wonder why Americans are so obsessed with race, right? They go, they're so obsessed with race. All they do is talk about race. And, and our point is like, well, for the Black American, it was something tragic that they went through. But people outside this country is like, do you know that we've had those atrocities too? Like, your problems we're not diminishing your problems. We're saying that these are issues and stuff that you go through, but you speak about your problems as if nobody else has problems else in this world too.
Like, it's the most important issue of the entire world.
Yes.
That's why people ignore, other countries' Holocaust. And they think that there was only one Holocaust that ever happened during World War II. Yeah.
And, when I speak about this too, where, I'll give you guys a great example, of us two here as, we're Korean Americans, we're Korean. We experienced our own Holocaust, right? Like,
our grandparents got fucked up.
Like, by the way, this wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
It really wasn't. My grandparents, who just passed away, 7 or 8 years ago, both my parents spoke Japanese because it was a language that was forced upon. They were forced. They were eradicating our fucking culture.
They had to change their names.
Yeah.
They had Japanese names.
My aunt in Korea, my oldest aunt, she doesn't have a Korean name. She has a Japanese name, Sesko.
Wow.
Yeah.
She was born during
She's
that
like
time.
87.
Yeah.
Her name is Sesko. You know what I'm saying? Like, her culture, her name was eradicated. Her name, she doesn't have a Korean name. How fucking trippy is that shit? You know what I mean?
And that's why you see Black people with the name Smith, Jefferson, Washington.
Exactly.
Jackson.
These are not their original names.
No.
They had a religious cleansing.
Yeah.
And they forced upon their slave master's name that this is what they have. You know what I mean? That's why they call it. They say that's my government name.
Yeah.
I mean, and it comes from that type of stuff. So like when I see this stuff on Twitter, and the thing that I was talking about is like we're having arguments about racism on Twitter, where like for example, there's been a lot of clips going on Twitter right now where a white person is getting beat up by a Mexican person or a black person or whatever, you know what I mean? Or an Asian person.
Yeah.
And then people are like, dude, this is a racial attack. They go, no, that can't be racial because a black person is beating up somebody who is white. So it's not racist.
Right. And because the black person has no quote unquote power.
And so they're redefining what racism is. And they're like, and you know, people are arguing back like, no, you're convoluting two different things. You're talking about systemic racism and just racism in general.
Societal racism.
Exactly.
Like, hey, you can't come to my party because you're white.
That's racism.
That's racism.
Like definitively, that's what racism is.
That's racism. You can't say that's not racism because the white person has power over you. What the fuck? What are you talking about?
Exactly. But you know, and you can't even argue with these people because you'll bring up the Merriam-Webster's definition and they'll just say, no, that doesn't make sense. Well, just because you feel that it doesn't make sense doesn't mean that that's true. I'm not disagreeing with you in terms of systemic racism, but watching somebody belittle somebody else, mistreat them, beat them, hurt them, try to kill them because of their ethnic background is definitively racism.
Yeah.
So why are we defending this? You know what I'm saying? Well, it's I defend this because they did it to us in the past, so I'm going to do it now as revenge. How do we heal from this? How do we become better from this type of stuff? You know, it's just a very, like, I thought about it all day yesterday, just reading the things that people talk about and see, right? And I'm not talking about people who are within my circle. These are not the bots.
Yeah.
And they get caught up in this. Maybe it's because these are people from LA, right? Because Los Angeles people feel that wokeism is a thing to do and it's going to give them lots of likes. So this is what they become obsessed with. It becomes a part of their identity. But I don't understand like how people can live in this world and keep their sanity.
Right. And what the message that Black Panther 2 is trying to convey is the alliance factor of it, right? Is that like we have the same resources actually. We both have vibranium, whatever. And I feel like vibranium is an allegory to just that it factor that black people have. Vibranium.
Everybody wants a piece of it.
A piece of it, something that ethnic people have that white people lack, and they must have a piece of it.
Give me that Riz, baby.
Yeah. How dare only people of color have this? We gotta have a piece of it, you know? And then they make it their own as if it was never a black thing, as if it was never a Latino thing. And this film is kind of conveying that they're just colonizing shit, whether it's culture, but then they're using vibranium as that allegory of I don't know what you want to call it, the mojo or the flavor, just that essence of what makes them who they are. It's part of their identity, right? And their wealth and their growth, right?
Like they don't even want them in power, right? Because they're like they said that, you know, no one person should have this power because of what you can do with this. Like, yo, motherfucker, we've had this power for thousands of years and we were living perfectly fine and we weren't fucking with you, but now it's a problem.
It's a problem because of, historically, from what we know, you can't have power.
Yeah. It should be ours.
Yes, it should be ours.
Because we don't trust you.
The difference with jealousy, like, I hope our country gets to that point where we have that kind of GDP. No, it's like war, envy. We must have those resources. And only one person can have it. And that only one person has to be us, the United States. So look what happened to fucking Iraq.
Yeah.
We wanted that oil, baby.
This world is so controlled by like things that I feel like people just don't really care to think about or talk about, right? They just want to argue. And Americans are getting exploited so hard. It's unreal, dude.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what.
Exploited for our feelings.
Yeah.
Our feelings.
Yeah.
Because apparently now in this generation, our feelings dictate our dollars.
Yeah.
And so that's what's happening is that the corporations, and not only that, just anybody who's trying to make a buck hits your feelings.
Like, do you understand how weird it is now that you can be somebody who is contributing to society? You have worked hard. You got this degree, you work in a career in a field that is very necessary for this world, you make $100K, and then you see this girl and this guy doing a TikTok dance and they make 3 times as much as you.
Yeah. Our girl says her toes on OnlyFans.
And then she makes
10 times more.
10 times the amount that you do. And so it also like devalues this country a lot, right?
It's like, what is now your worth?
Yeah.
Like, what are you even now at all?
It's just a weird space to be in. Like when I see what kids value, when I see what let's just rephrase it. What adults and people just value in this country alone. It's very, very fucking odd, because the response to when people who I believe are a little more level-headed is like, listen, let's focus on things that matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the only low-level response that you get is, what's the problem? Like, and they'll explain the problem, right? You're just a hater. This is why you are a tard. And we're trying to have a conversation with somebody like you who just don't think outside of yourself. You don't think about the future.
It's not the future. It's not the big picture.
Mm-hmm.
It's me, my feelings right now at this moment, and what you just said.
Yeah. And we'll talk about more of this in depth in another episode. But like I put up this tweet the other day where even when I say this, right, and I always feel like, dude, I wonder what people think about me when I like terms like politically, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm pretty in the middle.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I have a lot of like liberal ideals, a lot of like conservative ideals too. I'm just like right in the middle. But you know, I saw this video the other day of, it was just a group of drag queens dancing for a bunch of elementary students.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, why? Like, why did you set up this event? You know, I'm not even speaking about this from a moral standpoint and as, you know, what that does to kids psychologically, because I'm not.
Who knows? We don't know.
I don't know. But why?
But why?
What was the purpose of this? I don't understand.
I think it's to normalize it, just to be like, hey, we exist.
Yeah, you could just exist by just talking to them.
Mm-hmm.
What's with the dancing? What's with the music? What's with the drag queen, like them with their ass cheeks out, half naked? Like, I don't understand that part.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't look into it. I didn't know it was like that.
Oh yeah, they were doing drag queen like fucking shit, and I'm like, that's cool for adults. It's your choice.
Yeah.
But why didn't you just have them come in and talk to them?
Yeah.
Because if you're trying to normalize it,
I think they did it on Nickelodeon, where they had a LGBTQ plus parade animation show, and for that I was like, okay, that's a great way to normalize, you know, that the fact that these people exist. But then I'm saying that too, where it's just like,
because imagine this too, right? Like, and I want to say this, like, what if, for example, like you just brought a bunch of male go-go dancers? I mean, they're not naked, right? But that's their profession, right? Yeah. It's like, let's normalize it. This is a job. Like, I wouldn't be okay with that either.
Time and place.
Time and place.
On their 18th birthday.
On their 18th birthday.
Hey, I'm going to take you to a gay strip club, right?
Or something, 18th. You know what I mean? Like, or like a male go-go, female go-go dancer. It doesn't really matter. But why is somebody who is doing this, like...
I never looked into it, right?
Yeah.
But from what I heard, I thought they were just story reading. They were reading children's books.
No, that's Drag Queen Story Hour. That's a little different.
Okay, so this is an actual like drag queen
You'll see it on my
show.
Twitter. It's like they're fucking straight up dancing.
Right.
Like they're doing the drag queen performance stuff, and like the dude is like topless,
like the tassels,
you know, shit like that. I was like, this isn't Drag Queen Story Hour.
Right. Okay.
This is a little different. This is a little weird, you know. And I even understand for some people who have a problem with Drag Queen Story Hour too. I get why they might be uncomfortable. There are people who are a lot more conservative, you know, and that fucks with them a little bit. I get that. I don't really have an opinion about that. I don't know. I don't have kids, so I don't know. But that was odd for me. I'm like, you guys could have just brought them in to talk to the kids. What's with this part about it? Why are they over here just, you know, I'm like, what the fuck? Because then it becomes sexualized. Now it's not just, hey, I'm a drag queen. You know, we're a part of this society. Then it becomes really weird. I'm like, you didn't have to go that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, what if, for example, like for, you know, what does your parents do? It's like, oh, I'm a performer. I dance, right? Let me show you. And they fucking, you know, so like, no, you could have just had them come in.
Right.
I don't know. I thought that was a little odd.
Right. Yeah. It's probably like, you know, when we're trying to normalize like ideas and such, like what we were saying, it's like time and place or age
Yeah, time
consent.
and place,
I
age and
don't know.
consent, time and place. I think these are really important.
Yeah, because like, look, if that, look, like Boogie Nights, right?
Mhm.
You know that movie, Mark Wahlberg, where he's a porn star?
Mm-hmm.
That movie is explicit.
Oh,
and
dude, I
also
know because
extremely well made.
Heather Graham had her
Yeah.
tatas out, and I
Yeah.
thought Heather Graham was so cute.
Now that is an amazing art form and also a unique look into this industry that not many people look into, and there's no other movies about such a thing, you know, which is a great way to normalize a culture as such.
But we should show that the kids on rainy day schedules.
That's what I'm saying. Would we show this to kids though?
No,
You
I don't think
know?
so. And I think it's fine to show, but not to kids.
Yeah. Now, like, look, I'm not a advocate for don't say gay. That's bullshit to me.
Mhm.
But then again, like there are things like why, like, is it important in your kid's life and important to their kid's life to be exposed to this?
Yeah, and you know, I've had a couple of conversations with people about this, and yeah, we were just kind of going. I was just asking why, and I'm glad that they weren't upset that I asked why, because
Yeah.
that's usually the response that I get when I ask
Yeah.
why. They go, "Well, why the fuck not?" I'm like, "Well, this is not a conversation now,
Yeah.
because I just asked you why, you know." And then I think what they were like you, they're like, "Well, drag queen story." I was like, "This isn't drag queen story hour. Like, let me show you what this video is." They were like, "What the fuck is this?" I'm like, "Yeah, what the
Yeah.
fuck is that?" I was like, I thought I was going crazy, and I was laughing because I'm like, "Is this real?"
Yeah.
Or is this like some kind of weird like AI propaganda bullshit? Because it didn't feel real at all. It felt like a setup.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then I found out it was real. Like, what the fuck was the school thinking?
School.
It was like at a school or
Oh,
something.
I thought it was like a private event.
No, it was like a bunch of little kids. It looked like in a school. So I was like, oh, I'm like, what the fuck is
shit.
going on? Like, I don't think that's appropriate. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what everybody thinks, but well, guys.
I think
yeah.
we're like wrapping it back to Black Panther.
Oh yeah, let's write back to the Black Panther. I don't know how we got to that point.
How did we get there? But yeah, there was an allegory in there. It was a bit. It had a lot of external things to have to tie it in because of Chadwick Boseman's death, but you could tell that there was a big picture allegories like they had in the first Black Panther. They had one, and they had to also tie in the fact that the biggest main character died in this film.
Yeah.
And so the film lost itself in two different tones and two stories that they were trying to tell at the same time.
Yeah.
You got lost in that. Yeah.
Well, guys, let us know what you thought about Black Panther. If we brought any new enlightenment to the film for you. I feel like we did a better job about explaining this in the second time than the first time.
Yeah.
So it's a lot better now.
Yeah.
So I actually prefer it. And it's back at the old studio. I did a poll asking if people like the old studio, and it was surprisingly, overwhelmingly, they like the old studio. So I guess we're going to keep it here. I like it here too. It's a lot more comfortable, a lot more casual.
It's homey.
It's very homey.
Yeah.
Plus we get the drink. So you could catch Genius Brain every Sundays at 12 p.m. Streaming Thursdays on my YouTube channel, Thursdays at 7 p.m. YouTube Live. Typically Twitch on Friday, but not sure if I'm going to keep that up. I kind of like YouTube Live a lot better. You could catch Ed at Ed Park VP, and also Bible Study at Momo is his podcast.
Yep.
Check that out. And then Ed's going to be out in Seattle, so he's going to be gone for a bit.
I'll see you in a month, guys.
And then we will see you all next time.
Peace.
Peace.
Bye.